Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked for this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right, we have the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the Lapis Lazuli. We have a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the black marble. We have a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the Egyptian, and we have another Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the red marble. I only have 4. I do not have any more of these, but there are a few more that I could add to my collection. We have the Visconti Opera Master, and this is the Savanna. We have a Visconti Last Templar Jacques de Molay. We have a Visconti Watermark, a Visconti Blue Ripple, a Visconti Daedalus, and a Visconti, and this is the Leonardo da Vinci Machina. So, I think let's go through these pens in a little bit more detail. So, clearly this is the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico, and I have 4 of these in my collection. These are very heavy pens. If you don't know, the caps are made of sterling silver or solid silver. So the caps and the section and the blind cap are extremely heavy because of that. The other thing that makes this pen heavy is that it's got a slab of marble as the body. But you can see here the lovely fleur-de-lis here around the cap there. And also the lapis lazuli stone or marble. It really is quite beautiful. So this is a pen that I do like. It's got a hook safe lock. It's a Paravac. It's a single reservoir, not a double reservoir though. So it holds around about 1.5 milliliters of ink. And this has a medium 18 karat gold newer in-house nib from Visconti. You can... you see in the size of my hand, it is actually a decent size. You can post the cap, but it is very, very back weighted. So this is not a pen that I would ever choose to post. And I say choose because I don't normally post my caps, but sometimes I will choose to post a cap if I think the pen's too thin or too short. The next pen here is the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico. And this is in the black marble. I really do like this material. I think when I received this, I actually had the pen leak, and it went back to Visconti. And then I decided at that point that I had the option, if I wanted to choose the material. So I actually chose this one. The other one didn't have anywhere near as many gold veins in it, so I was actually quite lucky in sense that it did leak and it had to go back to Visconti, and then they let me choose another one. But again, you have the fleur-de-lis here that you can see around that cap. It's a beautiful pen. I do like this one a lot, and again, it is actually quite a hefty cap. And body. The nib in here is a medium 18 karat gold in-house nib, and again you can post the cap if you want, but it is very back weighted, and it doesn't really actually will post securely there if you get it on, but you are going to be sort of potentially scratching some of these, and also the one thing you have to bear in mind inside these caps is that it's plastic. So the sort of hook safe lock threads in the cap are going to wear out. So again, this is another reason why I don't typically post a lot of my pens, because I have not only myself seen issues personally, but I've seen other people with issues with pens. The next pen here is again another Visconti Medici Il Magnifico. This is the Egyptian marble, and I really like the look of this, and I had to buy this. I reached out to Michael at Manuscript in the UK, who's the UK distributor, And unfortunately, because of the limited edition, you'll see here that there is only 188 of these made. And this is number 14. So when I reached out to Michael, he said, I'm sorry, they've literally all sold out to distributors and he doesn't have any. So I managed to reach out to Chris at Truffet, and Chris came through for me. I think Coles of London, who's the US distributor, typically have, I'd say, a lion's share of the pens that come through from Visconti. So I was able to pick this one up, and I'm glad I did. I kind of felt a little bit sort of gutted that I couldn't get this pen, but I'm so glad that I was able to get it in the end. So again, this has a medium 18 karat gold nib from Visconti. Again, all of these are power vac fillers, single reservoir. You can post the cap as well if you want to. But again, it's going to be very back weighted. If you want to actually improve your muscles in your forearm, then and your hand, then yes, definitely posting the cap would be a good option there. And then the last Visconti Medici Il Magnifico is the one that actually set me down that bandwagon of Il Magnificos. Was this one? It's a red marble, and most of the time I do not choose the pattern. I didn't choose it on this red one. I didn't choose it on the Lapis Lazuli, and I didn't choose it on the Egyptian marble. And a lot of time I just luck out in terms of getting a good pattern. Obviously, the black and gold one I did choose myself in the end. And again, like that, this has it's a silver cap and marble body, and silver section and power vac knob there. This is a 23 cap palladium medium nib, and again, you can post the cap. I don't particularly like to do so. I did have the inner cap threads that are plastic here wear out on this one, so I am now ultra careful. It did go back to Visconti and I did get it repaired just for a small admin fee, but I am now super careful in posting these. Not that I ever did post them, but posting the cap on these, and also I try to put the caps on not sort of as aggressive, maybe not that I think I was, but those hook safe lock, because it's metal threads on the body or section and plastic on the inside of the cap, you're going to wear those out over time. So that's something you need to bear in mind with plastic thread inserts into caps. I know a lot of people, certainly on screw threads, do not like metal threads on the section with metal threads in the cap because they have a tendency to squeak a little bit. However, I don't mind that, and to be honest, I'd actually prefer that over having a plastic insert and then at some point having to get that renewed. The next pen here, inked up, I'm going to re-ink it because it is low, is the Visconti Opera Master Savanna. And this was a pen that I bought, when was it? It was tail end of 2022. And really nice pen. I got it from Martini, Regina Martini in Germany. She actually makes a lot of the Pelican books. And she sells a lot of Pelicans, a lot of Visconti. She had this one up for a auction, and I won it. So very, very glad that I did. I think I've seen other Savannas, and I have to say I think this one looks probably the best that I've seen so far. So very glad that I got this one. Again, you do have the hook safe lock on this, even though it's an Opera Master, and the nib there is a number 6 size in-house nib from Visconti. Probably just need to clean that nib off a little bit there. It's a power vac filler. It is a double reservoir. You can post the caps, and it does make these Opera Masters very long and also back weighted. So you can see in my hand, like that's almost the sort of 2 whole hands full there. So it is a long pen, and honestly, if you don't post the cap, it's still very long. Even if you hold it up here on the hook safe lock, it's still very long. So from that perspective, I think it's a decent sized pen to not have to post the cap on. The next pen here is a pen that I bought for my birthday a number of years ago, and it was the Last Templar Jacques de Molay from Visconti. And I remember at the time, I had Marco at Novelli, and I want to say poor guy, because I don't think he knew what he was getting himself into. And I haven't actually bought anything from Marco since, but he was messaging me saying, I really need to sell you a pen. Please have a think about what pen it is. And I just off the cuff, I said, well, there's this pen that is my grail pen that I would love to own, and I know it's sold out. It's the Last Templar Jacques de Molay. And he said, I'm on it. And I'm like, okay. And then I think it was about a week later, he came back to me and said, I found one. Visconti have one in their vault. And he made this happen. And I have to say, I have never had... Well, I have had a few retailers that have given me a challenge like that, but not one to this extent. So this is a really stunning pen, the Last Templar Jacques de Molay, and it's a night pen, and I have to say that I love this pen a lot. It really is a beautiful pen, and I think there's a number of Templar pens that Visconti made, and this is by far the best looking one. And if I unscrew the cap there is a bit of a step down here, but that doesn't bother me. It's a number 6 size, 23 cap palladium nib. You can't post the cap. It's not designed to be posted, but that is actually a good size. So that really is a nice pen, and so glad I got it. It does have a white section, so I do have to be a little bit careful in what inks I ink it up with. I typically go with Diamine Earl Grey a lot of the time because it's a somewhat water... I want to say resistant. It's not resistant or waterproof. It's more of a watery ink, so it's not going to stain as much. It's not got a lot of dye in it, so that I typically will ink up this pen with, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful ink. The next pen here is the Visconti Watermark, and I wanted to show this to you uninked. It's a beautiful, beautiful chevron. It's actually a V for Visconti, essentially cut out. So it's a silver sort of overlay, and on a demonstrator body essentially, and then they coat the silver with palladium. So if I just wipe off that section a bit there, you'll see it's a 23 cap palladium nib. It's a medium nib. You can post the cap, but again, it's going to be very long, and it doesn't really post that securely. And you're going to mark the palladium, even though it's quite a thick 0.3 micron coating. I do still think you are going to mark that over time. So I don't post the caps on this one. But I will ink this one up and be writing with it this week. And then another one that I bought, and I think this was like 3 years later, was the Visconti Blue Ripple. So these actually have a ripple effect. Again, it's a silver overlay, but then plated in this sort of metallic blue. There's also a black version of this pen, and I think there might be some other colours. But I love the white cracked ice effect, that it's not a full demonstrator. It does have a double reservoir, it's a power vac, and that has the older 18 karat gold nib from Visconti. And interestingly enough, this was before the Watermark came out. You can post the cap. It does post a little bit more deeply, but again, it's still a wand. So you can see there, I could almost get two hands around that body and cap in terms of width there. So for me, that again is a pen that I'm not going to be posting. The next pen is the Visconti Daedalus, and this is a stunning pen. You've got the maze, you've got the Daedalus here, and the Minotaur's head here as well. Beautiful pen. I always said, and this is not the first time I've said this, but on a number of pens now, but I always said I was never going to get this because I got the Visconti Opera Master Luna, which essentially is the same blue translucent material with some dust, silver dust, impregnated into that material, and you'll probably see it there on that knob there. But this is a beautiful pen. I was able to pick it up for a good price, and as always, if a deal comes my way, if it's going to be a good price, I will probably take it. And this was one of those deals. I'm glad that I did accept this one. Now, in the size of my hand, you can see it's actually quite a good size. The cap will post as well, but again, it's a little bit back weighted, even though the cap isn't as weighty as the body. And you can see the nib there. It's a I want to say, actually, I'm just going to look at that again. It's a 23 carat palladium. I thought it said 18 there, which I was just doubting because I was pretty sure that was 23 carat. It's a really nice pen, and I have to say I love that pen, and it's just I love a lot of the pens in my collection, but that also has a special place in my collection. And then the last pen here, which is another one that I have a special place in my collection for, is the Visconti Leonardo da Vinci Machina. And if you look at this here, it has Leonardo da Vinci's signature, and then it also has all of this scrimshaw on the body. It's just absolutely spectacular. I do like scrimshaw. The clip's a little bit of a strange clip, though, I would have to say. It's not a typical Visconti clip. It's got a hook-safe lock. It's a power vac. It's a single reservoir. But the nib in there is the newer 18 karat gold medium nib, which, for me, actually, on this particular pen, this nib writes a little bit more like a fine. But it has a little bit of bounce to it, and it just makes it a joy to write with. So I have that one inked up this week as well. So I think with that, let's go and do a writing sample. So the first pen inked up this week is the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the Lapis Lazuli. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And I always like this ink. It's a nice sort of mauvish blue, or like forget-me-not blue, effectively. So this is the Visconti. I'm going to shorten this to the Il Magnifico, because it is the Lapis Lazuli. And it's a medium, and it's the newer 18 karat gold nib from Visconti. And then the ink in here is Pilot Owashizuku, and it's Aji Sei. But that is a very nice sort of almost forget-me-not blue coloured ink. The next pen inked up is the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the black marble. We'll do an ink swatch. Now, I have to say that this is a new ink, and I decided I would ink this one up with this new ink. So it's the Visconti, and it's the Il Magnifico in the black marble, and it's a medium, And again, it's an 18 karat gold newer in-house nib from Visconti. And then the ink in here is diamine, and it's graphite. And I have to say that this is almost a black ink. Not quite black, but not far off. It's a very, very dark grey. And I have to say that actually, I might have to start liking that a little bit more than Diamine Earl Grey. The next pen inked up is the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the Egyptian marble. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is an interesting colour ink. I've been torn on what colour ink I should put in this. Should I put a green? Should I put a yellow? It's more yellowy, more goldeny. I don't want to put shimmer in here because it's a Powervac. This is the Visconti Il Magnifico. And it's the Egyptian marble. And the problem with yellow inks or yellowish inks is that they typically write dry. Now this is a medium and it's an 18 karat gold newer in-house nib from Visconti. And then the ink in here is a KWZ El Dorado. And I don't know, I probably could put Lamy Mango in there, which is a little bit wetter of an ink, I would say. But I do struggle with what kind of colour ink to put into that pen. So if you have any suggestions, do let me know. I'd certainly be interested in hearing them. Just do not say Diamine Yellow, because that is too neon bright a yellow. But I'm just looking at some of the other inks I've got on my ink wall, and I could put an orange ink in there, but again, it's not really going to match the colour of the pen. The next pen inked up is Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the red marble. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now, I typically in the past have used a different ink in this. I've used Pelican Edelstein Star Ruby, but I decided I would try different ink this time. So this is the Visconti Il Magnifico in the red marble. And it's a medium, but this one is a 23 karat palladium nib. And then the ink in here is KWZ Thief's Red, which I always thought that I liked Star Ruby a lot in this pen. It flowed really well, but I thought I would try a different ink. And I have to say the KWZ Thief's Red also is a good flowing ink in this pen. The next pen inked up is the Visconti Opera Master Savanna. So we'll do an ink swatch. And you can see that this is quite a wet writing nib. I do like how it writes. So this is the Visconti Opera Master Savanna. And this one, I got a broad nib on it. And it is the newer 18 karat gold nib from Visconti. And the reason why I got a broad, I think there were two auctions available, a medium and a broad. So I had the option of choosing which auction to bid on. And I was just lucky to win this one, which was on the broad nib version. And the reason why I went for the broad nib version was because I knew it was a sort of a yellowy pen, and I decided that probably with a yellow ink, I really need a broad nib, and that was why I went for it. And then the ink in here is Lamy Mango, which is an ink that I could certainly put in the Il Magnifico Egyptian marble. I've not tried that yet. Maybe I will try that next time. But I was trying to avoid having two pens inked up with the same ink. The next pen inked up is the Visconti Last Templar Jacques de Molay. So we'll do an ink swatch. And it's going to be interesting to see the difference between this ink and also the diamine graphite. So this is the Visconti Last Templar Jacques de Molay. And it's a medium, and it's the 23 cat palladium nib, and then the ink in here is always diamine Earl Grey. And I was tempted to ink this one up with diamine graphite, but diamine graphite definitely is a little bit more darker, and I was just more concerned that I might find that I start staining that section. I doubt it, but I just find that diamine Earl Grey is effectively my safe ink for that pen. So I think trying to change the ink now, I could do, but I just think it would be better just to leave it with diamine Earl Grey. The next pen inked up is the Visconti Watermark, or will be inked up. I'm going to ink it up now. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And I do love how this nib writes, and it really does write well. So this is the Visconti Watermark, and it's a medium, and it's a 23 cat palladium nib. And then the ink in here is Pilot Oroshizuku, and it is Yuyaki, which I've actually come to love in this pen. It's a nice orange ink, and I think it works well with the pen. The ink certainly flows well. The next pen inked up is the Visconti Blue Ripple. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I find that inks change colour quite a bit depending on the pen and nib they are in. So this is the Visconti Blue Ripple. And this is a medium 18 karat gold nib. It's the older 18 karat gold nibs from Visconti. And then the ink in here is Pelican, Edelstein, Topaz. But I do find that in this pen, Topaz looks a lot more of a darker blue. And I will show it to you in another pen. The next pen inked up is the Visconti Daedalus. So we'll do an ink swatch. And there you go. You can see the difference. It's almost night versus day. So this is the Visconti Daedalus. And it's a medium, and it's a 23 cat palladium nib. And then the ink again is Pelican, Edelstein, Topaz. And this is typically the colour that I would see in most pens that I put that ink in. But depending on the width of the nib and how wet that nib writes, you can find that you actually get variances in colours there between the same ink in different pens. And then the last pen inked up is the Visconti Leonardo da Vinci Machina. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And this, I did say that this, although it's a medium nib, it writes very fine for me. Almost, definitely a fine nib, almost towards an extra fine. So this is the Visconti Leonardo da Vinci Machina. and it's a medium, and it's the newer 18 karat gold nib from Visconti. I think this was one of the first batch of nibs that came out, or maybe the second batch. And then the ink in here is diamine ochre, and that's a ink that I typically put in this pen a lot. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. We have the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the Lapis Lazuli in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Pilot Washizuku Aji Sei. We have a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the black marble in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with diamine graphite. We have a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the Egyptian marble in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ El Dorado. And that does have some really nice shading. We then have the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the red marble in a medium 23 karat palladium nib inked up with KWZ Thief's Red. We have a Visconti Opera Master Savanna in a broad 18 karat gold nib inked up with Lamy Mango. We have a Visconti Last Templar Jacques de Molay in a medium 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have a Visconti Watermark in the medium 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Pilot Washizuku Yuyaki. We have a Visconti Blue Ripple in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Pelican Edelstein Topaz. We have a Visconti Daedalus in a medium 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Pelican Edelstein Topaz. And then last but not least, we have the Visconti Leonardo da Vinci Machina in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with diamine ochre. So there you have it. That's my currently ink pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.